What if I told you that not every soul walking this planet is here to experience the same reality? That in the quiet folds of existence, beyond the noise, beyond the illusion, there are a few so rare, so ancient, so calibrated to something beyond space and time that even the universe holds its breath when they awaken. We call them bridge chosen ones. Not because they are better, not because they are above, but because they are between dimensions, between timelines, between human and divine. And they carry inside them 7 powers that cannot be taught, cannot be stolen, cannot be mimicked. These powers are not flashy. They are not for show. They are not spiritual tricks. They are frequencies, kades, activations. And they only awaken when the soul is ready to carry the unbearable weight of truth. I didn't always know this. I didn't always believe. But then something happened. A silent moment that cracked the illusion. A split second where I felt every version of myself across every lifetime crying, shouting, whispering the same thing. You are not just here to awaken. You are here to bridge. And suddenly, I knew that my suffering wasn't random, that my isolation wasn't weakness, that the chaos I'd endured wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Because to be a bridge chosen one is to walk between worlds, to carry the codes of heaven while walking through the noise of earth, to hold the frequency of the future while healing the wounds of the past. It's not easy, but it's real. And once you remember, there's no going back. The first power is not something you learn. It's something you remember. Dimensional awareness, the ability to sense, feel, and move through multiple layers of reality simultaneously. While others see the surface, you feel the field. While others hear words, you feel intention. While others look at time as linear, you see it folding inward, spiraling, echoing. You walk into a room and know what happened there before anyone speaks. You meet someone and feel their childhood trauma before they say a word. You dream, and it's not dreaming, it's traveling. You're not always sure if you're awake or asleep, because both states are active. This power makes you seem strange to others, spacey, distracted, overwhelmed. But the truth is, you're processing everything, not just what's in front of you, but what's beneath, beyond, and around it. The second power is emotional telepathy, not reading minds but feeling hearts. You don't just hear someone say, "I'm fine," you feel the storm they're hiding. You don't just notice when someone's lying, you inhabit their shame. Your empathy isn't a mood, it's a multi-dimensional radar. You feel what others suppress. You absorb what others ignore. Sometimes it feels like a curse. You cry for no reason. You get drained in crowds. You need more solitude than most. But this isn't weakness. It's your sensitivity to the unspoken. And when you learn to filter instead of absorb, you become a master healer, not because you fix people, but because you understand them without words. You become a mirror so accurate people see themselves clearly for the first time. The third is quantum choice. Bridge chosen ones don't just make decisions, they shift timelines. Every choice you make ripples out across infinite realities. You know this, even if no one ever taught you. That's why you hesitate before saying yes, why you pause before initiating change. Because deep down you feel the weight of every possibility. This is why others think you're indecisive, but the truth is you're navigating timelines. One sentence from you could alter someone's entire life. One decision could collapse or elevate a whole karmic cycle. Your power is in presence, in precision, in knowing that even the smallest act is a portal. The fourth power, energetic translation. You hear language beyond words. You speak in vibration. You feel the code behind the image. You've probably had moments where you said something and someone broke down crying, not because the words were profound, but because the energy behind them unlocked something. You write and your words activate. You speak and people feel chills. You touch and people feel safe. This isn't charisma. It's not manipulation. It's transmission. You are a living antenna for divine frequency, and when you align with your truth, your entire being becomes a tuning fork. Your presence alone shifts rooms. Not because you try to, but because you are it. The fifth power is shadow alchemy. Bridge chosen ones don't avoid darkness, they walk through it. You face things that would have crushed others. You've survived traumas that people can't even imagine. And instead of becoming bitter, you became broken open. This power is not glamorous. It's raw. It's messy. But it's holy. Because you don't run from pain, you transform it. You turn wounds into wisdom, fear into fire, grief into gold. It's why people come to you when they're at their breaking point. It's why strangers tell you their secrets. Because something in your field says, I've been there. I've seen the dark. And I'm still here. Sixth is temporal merging. The ability to integrate past, present, and future selves into one coherent identity. You've had flashes of past lives. You've felt the whisper of your future self guiding you. You've known things you shouldn't know. You've had déjà vu so intense it made you question reality, because you are not bound to time. You are a bridge across it. You're not just healing your inner child, you're reparenting them across dimensions. You're not just manifesting your future, you're pulling it into now. When you speak affirmations, they don't just inspire, they recalibrate timelines. You are a living embodiment of what happens when time stops being a line and starts becoming a spiral. And the seventh power is perhaps the rarest frequency: authority. The ability to command energy just by being. You don't chase influence, you embody resonance. When you speak truth, people listen. When you set a boundary, energy obeys. When you meditate, the field responds. You walk into a space and the atmosphere changes. Not because you're loud, not because you're dominant, but because your frequency is non-negotiable. This is the power that threatens illusion. This is why you were silenced, mocked, doubted, or feared, because your very existence challenges the lie. And now, you're remembering that your presence is the medicine. You don't need to prove. You just need to be. So now I ask you, if you've felt these powers inside you flickering, whispering, waiting, what are you waiting for? Who are you waiting to become when you were born to bridge? What if the reason you never fit in is because you were never meant to stay in one world? You were meant to connect them all.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
There's a reason your life didn't follow the script. A reason your path has been windswept, chaotic, unpredictable. A reason you faced betrayals that shattered your trust, losses that stripped your identity, and silences so deep they echoed in your bones. If you are a bridge chosen one, then your soul signed up for a kind of initiation that defies logic. You weren't broken because you were broken, because you were being forged. Forged in the fires of contrast, of contradiction, of cosmic pressure. Because only under that weight could the dormant codes inside you begin to awaken. We don't like to admit this. We like to think awakening should be gentle, that the universe should whisper us into enlightenment. But for those destined to bridge dimensions, the awakening isn't soft, it's surgical. It cuts through illusions with brutal precision. It dismantles everything that isn't real. Why? Because to carry multidimensional power, your ego must be emptied. Your identity must be hollowed out. You must become a vessel. And vessels are not built with comfort, they are built through surrender. Through the kind of pain that doesn't just change you, it uncovers you. You've probably asked, why me? Why did I have to feel so much? Why was I born into a family that didn't understand me? Why did I go through so many dark nights when all I wanted was light? The answer is simple, but it isn't easy. You were chosen. Not chosen as in special, chosen as in capable. Your soul knew you could hold both heaven and hell in the same hands and not collapse. Your soul knew you could carry ancient codes that hadn't been activated on Earth for centuries. Your soul knew you could be the bridge between what has been and what will be. And so the trials came not to punish you, but to prepare you. Think about the moments that nearly destroyed you, the heartbreaks that made you question your worth, the failures that made you doubt your path. The moments of spiritual silence where you begged for a sign and heard nothing. Now look deeper. Can you see how every breaking was a clearing? How every loss carved space for something more aligned? How every abandonment taught you self-retrieval? How every silence forced you to listen inward? The universe did not forget you. It was initiating you. In the ancient mystery schools, initiates were often put through ordeals, tests of the body, mind, and spirit. But those were just echoes of what you've already endured, without ceremony, without recognition, without a guide. You were initiated not in temples, but in trauma, not in rituals, but in real life. And that's what makes your power so rare. You didn't just read about the dark, you walked through it. And now, you carry the frequency of truth that no one can fake. You carry the kind of wisdom that can't be taught in books. You carry the vibration of someone who has seen behind the curtain and chosen to return. This is why the world feels heavy to you. Because you're not just navigating your own pain, you're decoding the collectives. You're transmuting ancestral wounds. You're breaking generational cycles. You're feeling grief that isn't even yours. But this is the paradox of the bridge, chosen one. You feel more because you are more. And in that feeling, you hold the key to healing. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to be the frequency that reminds others what's possible. But here's the truth most won't say out loud: this path is lonely. It's isolating. It will test every part of you. Because you're not just walking forward, you're walking between. You're not meant to belong to any one tribe, system, or belief. You're meant to weave them together. That's why you've never felt fully at home anywhere. That's why you've always sensed something deeper was calling. Because it is. And it's not calling you to escape the world, it's calling you to bridge it. So now the real question becomes, what will you do with your pain? Will you let it define you or refine you? Will you let it make you bitter or brilliant? Because inside that pain is the blueprint of your power. And the moment you stop running from it, the moment you let it teach you instead of torment you, everything changes. Your frequency sharpens. Your presence deepens. Your light becomes unmistakable. And you stop trying to be seen because you are the seeing. This is the truth the world doesn't yet understand. That the ones who look the most broken are often the ones carrying the most light. That the ones who feel the most lost are often the ones closest to remembering. That the ones who have suffered the most are often the ones here to heal the most. Not by fixing others, but by embodying something so real, so raw, so radiant, that it activates the truth in everyone they meet. So I ask you again, what if nothing was wrong with your path? What if the pain was never punishment? What if the chaos was your catalyst? What if every wound was a doorway? And what if you're not behind at all, but exactly where you need to be, standing at the edge of the bridge, ready to cross, ready to lead, ready to rise? To walk as a bridge chosen one is to live in constant paradox. You are here, yet not from here. You are human, yet not entirely bound by human limitation. You are grounded in the physical, yet deeply aware of the spiritual. And the real challenge isn't in awakening your powers, it's in holding onto your soul while navigating a world that constantly tries to numb it. This is the ultimate mastery, to stay fully open without collapsing, to feel everything deeply without drowning, and to live with both feet in different dimensions without losing your center. We live in a world that worships the surface, a world obsessed with speed, image, control, and certainty. But the realm you're designed to access, the realm you're bridging, moves in spirals, not straight lines. It speaks in whispers, not noise. It rewards stillness, not hustle. So when you try to fit into this fast, fragmented matrix, something inside you begins to fracture. You feel disconnected. You feel like you're betraying something sacred inside you just to survive. That's not because you're weak. It's because your soul remembers a different rhythm. And that memory will never let you fully belong to systems built on forgetting. So how do we live in both worlds? How do we function in the matrix while remaining loyal to the divine? It begins with integration. Most people think awakening means escaping the world, floating above it in some detached spiritual bliss. But that's not why you're here. You're not here to escape. You're here to anchor. You're here to bring heaven into the body, the sacred into the ordinary, the multidimensional into the mundane. You're here to walk into boardrooms, schools, hospitals, families, cities, and carry a vibration that reminds people of what they forgot. Not through preaching, through presence. This is why protecting your energy is not optional, it's essential. You can't bridge dimensions if you're constantly leaking power. You must become fierce about your internal space. That doesn't mean isolating yourself forever. It means curating your inputs. What you consume, who you surround yourself with, how you speak to yourself, all of it matters. You are a tuning fork. If you're absorbing distortion all day, your signal becomes static. So choose what sharpens your frequency. Music that uplifts, silence that soothes. People who see you without needing to fix you. Environments that reflect your expansion. This is not selfish. It's strategic spiritual architecture. And then there's the matter of embodiment. You can't just talk about your gifts. You must live them. That's how the bridge stays strong. Every time you speak your truth, even when your voice shakes, you fortify the bridge. Every time you trust your intuition over logic, you fortify the bridge. Every time you choose alignment over approval, you fortify the bridge. Your spiritual power is not in what you know, it's in what you do with what you know. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be aligned. And sometimes that means being misunderstood. Sometimes it means walking alone. But the more you embody your truth, the more the right people, opportunities, and timelines begin to align around you like gravity. Still, there will be moments where you feel split, where the weight of two worlds pulls at you in opposite directions, where you question if you're doing enough, being enough, healing fast enough. In those moments, come back to your breath. Your breath is the bridge between dimensions. It is the one tool that exists in all realms. When your mind spirals, breathe. When your emotions flood, breathe. When you feel lost between timelines, breathe. Your breath doesn't care about your ego's stories. It only cares about now. And now is always the portal. Living in two worlds also means learning to speak two languages. The language of spirit and the language of earth. You can't just download divine insight, you have to translate it. You have to ground it into words, actions, systems, and creations that people can actually feel. That's how you become a bridge, not by floating above, but by reaching across, by being the embodiment of the mystical and the practical, by showing others that the divine is not out there, but right here, in this breath, in this body, in this moment. So ask yourself, how can I honor both my humanity and my divinity today? What ritual, what conversation, what small act can bring the sacred into the ordinary? How can I live my truth, not just in solitude, but in society? Because this is the real work. Not just being spiritual when it's quiet and safe, but holding that same frequency in traffic, in conflict, in chaos. That's the test. That's the mastery. That's what being a bridge actually means. And let's not forget joy. The world will try to convince you that being awake means being serious, heavy, burdened with purpose. But your joy is your highest frequency. It is your rebellion. It is your medicine. Laugh, dance, play. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're choosing to remember that you are the miracle. You are the shift. You are the bridge. There's a secret encoded deep within the soul of every bridge chosen one. It's not loud, it doesn't shout. It pulses quietly beneath the surface, waiting for the moment you stop pretending to be normal, waiting for the moment you stop shrinking to fit into a world built on amnesia. That secret is this: you didn't come here just to awaken yourself. You came here to restore the divine grid, to collapse illusions so massive, so embedded in the collective psyche, that most people don't even see them anymore. You came here not just to survive the chaos, but to transmit the frequency that ends it. The divine grid isn't a fantasy. It's real. It's an energetic latticework that once connected all life to source in a constant state of flow, harmony, and awareness. But over time, through trauma, programming, war, fear, and control, that grid was fractured, cut, forgotten. People became disconnected from their own soul, from the earth, from each other. And into that disconnection, illusions grew, illusions of separation, fear, scarcity, division. These illusions became systems. These systems became culture. And now, most of humanity walks around mistaking survival for living, confusion for truth, numbness for peace. But not you. You've always felt it. That something is off. That there's more. That the rules they gave you were never real. Even when you couldn't name it, you could feel it. That's the grid calling you. That's your soul remembering what was lost. And now you're not just remembering, you're here to rebuild. Not through force, not by preaching, but by being. By walking into the illusion and carrying a frequency so clean, so ancient, so aligned, that the illusion starts to break just by being near you. This is why your awakening was so intense. Because you're not here to play in the matrix, you're here to rewire it. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you upgrade the grid. Every time you heal a trauma, you repair a line in the lattice. Every time you embody love in the face of fear, you send a signal across timelines that says it's safe to remember again. You are not just living your life. You are transmitting codes. You are anchoring a frequency that reactivates the blueprint of wholeness. But this work isn't glamorous. It won't always be recognized. It won't always be understood. Because this is not a mission of ego. It's a mission of vibration. You may never get applause. You may never be seen externally for what you're truly doing. But deep within, you will know. You'll feel the shifts in the field. You'll sense the recalibration. You'll see the spark in someone's eyes return after one real conversation. You'll notice how your presence helps others soften, open, remember. That's the final frequency, restoration. Not just of yourself, but of the divine design. And you don't do it alone. Every bridge chosen one is a node in the new grid. When you rise, others feel it. When you activate, others begin awakening. That's why you felt such intensity. It's not just your healing. It's a collective unraveling moving through you. You are a living transmitter of the new earth. And every thought, word, and action is either feeding the illusion or restoring the grid. There is no neutral anymore. You're either aligning the field or distorting it. And that's why your choices matter more than ever. So I ask you now, with everything you've remembered, everything you've reclaimed, will you wear your light with full voltage? Will you stop apologizing for how much you see, feel, and know? Will you finally allow yourself to operate at the level your soul was designed for? Because this world doesn't change through force. It changes through frequency. And you are the frequency keeper, the bridge. The living proof that the illusion has an expiration date. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be undeniable. To walk into old systems and transmit something so pure that the distortion cannot hold. To become a lighthouse so steady, so unapologetically divine, that others find their way home just by watching how you live. You are here to make remembering contagious. This is not the end of your awakening. It's the beginning of your transmission. You've crossed the bridge. Now it's time to become it.